Hello, everybody. Old Firm Day, 57 minutes to go, and welcome to the Rangers Rabble build-up. I am knackered, didn't get much sleep. I'm not going to lie to you, as you can probably tell by the 15,000 bags under my eyes. But yeah, hello, welcome. I'm glad you could all join us. I am joined by Stu and Ian. Stu, how are you?
I've only done 2 pre-match toilet visits so far, so it's better than usual.
Oh, Ian, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I started off nice and calm this morning, woke up thinking, don't feel nervous at all. Yeah, changed now.
You know, that's the weird thing. You would think, Stu, as you start to get, just that wee bit older, and I'm still quite a young guy, I was born in the so I'm still quite a young guy, but it's that, like, last night I was fine. I was just watching YouTube videos at absolute shite, if I'm being brutally honest with you. Pardon my language at this time, on a Sunday. But then you wake up in the morning and you go, all right, okay, Battle Fever's on.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I used to get really, like, the whole week build up used to be mad for me, but I'm trying to do, like, I think with the kids it makes it a bit easier because you concentrate on them a little bit, so it takes your mind off it. Yeah, I was a bit lucky, and I woke up super early this morning and woke up. I was like, not too bad, and then within about 20 minutes, it was just like full on. And here we go. I've watched a million videos this morning and everything else. So it's but now I'm past all the really up for it, and just now it's pure nerves. So just need it to get started. The last hour is the absolute worst of it.
Right. Well, I think Stu is ready to put the team along the bottom.
Yeah.
What you shouldn't do is put the team that I put in the last game, which was for the game previous to that, and had every single person absolutely confused. But today's Rangers team is Jack Butland in goal, a back four of James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Souttar, Sterling, a midfield three of Jack Raskin and Cantwell, and a front three of Matondo, Roof and Dessers. So plenty to discuss in that team, Ian. And very quickly, and I don't usually do this, but I shall read out the Celtic team. The Celtic team is Hart, Johnston, Lager, Bielka, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Turnbull, Abada, Maeda and Kyogo. So we'll maybe come on to the duels that's going to happen on the park. That Celtic team, and this will no doubt one day come back and haunt me. But I don't look at that Celtic team and I'm not filled with any sort of fear. I'll come to why in a minute, although, like I say, that could come back and haunt me. But Ian, your thoughts overall, and then we'll deep dive into individually, but your thoughts overall on that Rangers team.
Nothing too much about what I wasn't expecting too many changes. The big surprise is that Borna's not starting. So maybe Borna's been listening to us in the week saying that he's a shite bag and he's decided to stay at home today. If Raskin's fit, I can see there's people, not Raskin, sorry. If Ridvan's fit, is he fit enough to start or is he fit enough for the bench? There's a lot of questions like that in the comments. I'd imagine that he's only just come back, so I'd imagine he's fit enough for the bench. Sterling is fit enough to start a game, so that makes it kind of obvious. The midfield, if it is Jack, Raskin, and Cantwell, is a perfect midfield for me. And I love the fact that Roof and Matondo are starting. And I think that certain people might get a massive shock today. I think I'm going to die on this hill today. That Dessers is going to be the man today.
Oh, even your internet tried to stop you there. But yeah, look, I sincerely hope so. I sincerely hope so. I tell you what, Stu, right? I'm looking at that Rangers team, right? Butland, obviously. To have Goldson and Souttar, we have talked about this defence non-stop for like the last 6 months. If we can just focus on that left back spot and Sterling, we haven't seen a great deal. There was a few people who obviously seen him in the PSV game, but I don't think it's fair to judge the young man on that. I don't think it's fair at all. But people were complaining about Borna. People have moaned that that Ridvan is never fit. So Sterling's in there today. Bonner not even on the bench. So we have to give this boy a chance and see what he's made of. Albeit maybe a perfect game.
We do, and Sterling has played left back through his career. He's not just stuck to the right of a 3 or the right of a right wing back, so he can cover there fine. Obviously, Ridvan, it's probably a bit too early in his recovery for it. He's probably on the bench as just a backup there. We've got Ben Davies as well, but again, although he's played left back, an old firm, a player that is, I don't know, I don't want to say a commitment's not there, but if it's a 50-50, I'm not fancying Ben Davies in it, if I'm completely honest. I think Sterling will give you that recovery pace. If he's up against us, I completely just blanked out on the Celtic team apart from the defence. But was it Abada, did you say? We know he's got plenty of pace, and that maybe that's the thinking there, that Sterling will hopefully give him more of a challenge than if you put a Ben Davies out there. And he's a bit more physical, isn't he? So I've got no problems with it. As I say, it's a position he's covered plenty of times. It's a bit worrying that we don't have a left footer in that back line at all. I do like to have at least one, but it's like you say, this could be the making of a player like Sterling. He's come through a big club in Chelsea. He's got plenty of experience being around big players and big games. Probably not been involved in one like this, but it's the manager thinks that he's the best fit there right now, and it would have been Borna. He must have picked something up. Usually, you can last sort of till we're a couple behind before he sort of disappears in these games. But we thought he'd be back, and obviously he's not fit enough. So it's maybe a little bit surprising. But when you really dig down into the rest and the other options, I know a few people said Devine. I don't think you could put Devine in a game like this at left back. I think I think the physicality and the pace is the main thinking behind having Sterling out there.
Yeah, I seen a comment there, and this is it here, Ian. And I think this is actually quite a good point. It's interesting to see how Sterling Matondo thing will go. Anybody see Sterling taking on the Borna Barisic overlapping role? Ian, I think that Sterling will sit. I think the reason being is that Matondo, I think, has not just the pace, but I think he's also got the stamina. I think you will see Matondo up and down that line all day. But Stu mentioned that they have Abada on that right-hand side. Say what you want about Celtic, say that this isn't their strongest team or whatever, but Abada has caused us no end of problems in these Old Firm games, and he always seems to score. So I think with Sterling coming into that left back, I mean, of course he will at times go forward. He's not just going to sit at left back all game, but I think he will be told predominantly, your role today is you defend and you look after Abada.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back, look at a couple of games when Abada's played against us, and he just leaves, lets Borna do what Borna wants to do, walks away, gets a couple of yards, and then the cross comes in, and Abada steals in, and it looks like Borna's just trying to sit down on the pitch as he scores. I don't think he gets that with Sterling. I think Sterling very much, he said it himself, he prefers the defending side of the game than the attacking. I do expect him to be occasionally overlapping. I don't think he'll do it to the extent that Borna would. I think he's got quite good cover with Matondo, because one thing he was doing midweek was tracking back, and he got a fair few decent challenges in as well. So I think he'll get quite good support that way. To be quite honest, I don't think he's quick enough to overlap Matondo anyway. So I think I've been
not bad. You saying Bolt's quick enough to overlap Matondo?
I mean, I played right back, and I'm with Sterling. I don't like pushing forward, but mainly because I can't run. But I think Abada, as good a player as he is, I think if Sterling can give him a hard hitting tackle, win the ball or not, it could take him out of the game, because he doesn't like the physical side of it. So I think a decent tackle, one to get the crowd up as well, and I think he might win the battle there. But again, that's one of those things that could later come back to bite me in the butt. So we'll see.
Do you want a ridiculously bad Sunday joke just to lighten the mood? Shall we?
Well, as I'm a dad, I'll take a dad joke.
Yeah, do you want a dad joke? Right, I'll give you a dad joke. Ian, you said that you played a lot of right back. When I was younger, I played left back in the dressing room. Oh, it's terrible. Sorry. I'm just trying to back off the pitch. Just try to lighten the mood, folks. Just try to lighten the mood. Yeah, but right, okay. So that defence, Stu, as we mentioned, it'll be up against Abada, Maeda, and Kyogo. I don't know how they play under Rodgers, right? But under Ange, Maeda, who for me, whenever I've seen him, and I apologise to Celtic supporters all around the world who get offended by my next comment. Doesn't look like much of a football player, Maeda, but he is quick. He's quite like Matondo in terms of his pace, but Matondo's a better footballer. Abada on the right, like I say, caused there's no end of problems. And the big fear for me, the big worry for me is, and we can't just fucking dip our head in the sand on this. You give Kyogo a second and he will score a goal. So this defence has to be right at it today.
It does, yeah. I think Maeda just strikes me as a fashion Sakala with more stamina. He gets back a bit more than Sakala. Can literally just sprint for 90 minutes, it seems, which is good to have. We saw Sakala plenty of times has caused mischief in this fixture. So it's something that the defence will have to be switched on. He's obviously going for a lot of pace, which is something I think, apart from Matondo, we lack a lot of. So we, like you say, the defence is going to be absolutely switched on today. I think Jack's going to have to do a lot of the old style dropping in when Tav goes forward, which is maybe again why Sterling's in there. I saw someone in the comments say Sterling will be doing a containing job today. I don't think that's far from the truth. I think he'll basically sit back. Will probably be a 3 at the back at times if they both push forward, and then Jack will be covering in for Tav. I guess is how we're going to do it. But yeah, we can't leave gaps in behind because they've got so much pace down both flanks, and then they've got a guy in the middle that will pretty much finish anything you put in front of him. Although the last few games, it seems like they have been missing chances, which is thankful because they do seem to last season have scored a lot more than they ever should have. But so maybe it's like that. It's the world's starting to right itself now, and they're now missing a few. But we can't take that risk today because, like I say, he only needs one opportunity. Hopefully the defence are obviously have taken a pace off PSV, but hopefully they're bored by the fact that Jack Butland continues to look like a key player in this squad, and they know they can rely on him if the worst happens. Don't want it to happen, but if the worst happens, they know that they've got someone like Jack Butland behind them, which tends to make you play a little bit better because you're a little bit more switched on. You're not worrying. You tend to make mistakes when you're under pressure, when you're worried about, I can't make a mistake because if it goes past me, it's a goal, and then you make a mistake. So I think having Butland, having that security makes it a lot easier for the defenders to be the defenders. Mm-hmm. Providing Goldson obviously doesn't smash one in the back of our net as well. But I think that's his only one. I can't see him doing that again. So yeah, defence that needs to be switched on. More importantly for me, a midfield that needs to be switched on because we lost the midfield battle quite comfortably against PSV, and that's to be expected. They're a very good side. So the midfield have to be switched on, and they all have to be so confident on the ball today. We can't have the repeat of what happened on Wednesday when it was hot potato. No one could keep the ball. No one really wanted to keep the ball. Misplaced passes. Today it's got to be on it, and I think we might even see us going a little bit more direct because the one thing I do remember from Rodgers' team the first time round was their fullbacks used to leave massive gaps in behind, and we used to punish them with the old Goldson diagonal to Kent. So I think we might see a bit more of that as well.
Right, I've started a really bad trend, and I apologise. I deeply, deeply apologise, but the bad dad joke seems to be in the comments now. I'm going to bring up a bad dad joke, and then Stu's going to take over hosting for 2 minutes. So Stu, I will let you get your next question ready for Ian while I bring up this bad dad joke from Sharpie. Why are chimneys free? They are on the house. What is going on, folks? I know we're all buzzing because it's Sunday and it's a derby and we've got a chance to go top of the league, but I need a better joke than that. That is really, really poor. But yeah, that interesting to speak about the midfield battle, which I will do in 2 seconds. But Stu, I need you to take over.
That's fine because we've actually got a donation, Ian. So I'm going to go straight into that from Grant McRoberts, £5 super chat. Thank you very, very much, Grant. That means a huge amount. Danilo should hand transfer request, 6 million wasted for that waste of space. Dessers. We should be asking for a refund on Dessers and send it back in. Now, I know we're going to come to the forward line, so we might as well just jump in because we're going to answer this question anyway. Listen, I think the problem I have when people sort of pick out Dessers, and to be fair, Danilo's probably not had the chance to really prove himself yet. We have not really created anything for Dessers so far. I feel like the odd chance. We're a team in transition in that aspect, and I think if we were firing on all cylinders and Dessers couldn't hit a barn door or anything like that, I could understand. The thing I have been impressed with Dessers, so I'm trying to try and keep it positive, is he tends to win every single header that's put up to him. When we're lumping balls forward, he seems to win every header, and I think someone like Roof, with his intelligence and his movement, can feed off that a lot better than maybe a Seamer can, or when we've tried Danilo up there, when we've tried someone else up with him or supporting him when they don't get anywhere near to him. So I think having Roof on the pitch is going to make a massive, massive difference there, and also Matondo's pace. Dessers seems to be the manager's favourite, so he really sort of splits. I would say he splits it 50-50 in the sport. It's more 75-25 on a waste of space, I find. What's your views on it?
You've got to look. Yeah, he's a striker and he's brought to score goals, granted. Let's look at some of the games. Yeah, he's not. His chance conversion compared to the chances he gets isn't massive, but I'll take it back to Morton. He had a few good chances, and if it wasn't for the keeper, he scores a hat-trick. And we don't have this conversation because he's banging in goals, his confidence is up, and he'll score more. Ross County, all right, a couple of those, it sort of hit the corner of his forehead and flew off out the stadium, granted, but the work that man does, he does make defenders have to think. He, like you say, he doesn't lose many aerial battles. Maybe 2 I've seen him lose overall since the season started. He does a lot of work for the team. And okay, yeah, he's brought to score goals, but then you bring Danilo, who has missed some chances where you look at it and go, how the hell have you missed that? But nobody's given him stick. So he's doing the same job, not taking the chances, the same as Dessers, but everyone's get Danilo in. Dessers is a waste of space. I think with the 2 centre-backs that they've got playing today, he could cause all sorts of problems. Like you say, flick it on, having Roof there and Matondo's pace. I mean, Matondo could start 3-4 yards back behind that Celtic defence and still get to the ball first. So I think there's more to come from Dessers. I'm not going to judge him on the first couple of games, because if we did that, then we would have wanted Alfie punted, because I don't remember him pulling up trees straight away when he came in. Where we were all back in Herrera to be amazing, and he was rubbish. To take it back even further, if you like. So I think Dessers comes in for a lot of unfair. Does get criticism, which is rightly pointed at him for his creation, not chance creation, chance taking. But I think it will come good. We've got to give people time. Some people have been against Dessers since the minute he came in because of his stats. Stats don't make a player. The player makes the player. I feel he'll come good. I think today he'll show us that. I know you're meant to do you're talking on the pitch and not off it, but I did like his little thing. I'll die on the pitch to get one over on them. I like it. I like the vibe that's coming from him. So I think is unfair on him. I think we've just got to give him a little bit more time, and some people just really need to get off his back.
Yeah, they do. Just before we go to the midfield, one more. I'm sorry, folks. This is descended into chaos with the dad jokes, right? I apologise, but it's something just to lighten the mood a wee bit for those of us who get a wee bit up to high though. My grandson can't say please in Spanish. I think that's poor for 4. I don't know why, but that tickled me, and I have no idea why that tickled me, but it did. It really, really did. Right, okay, Stu. Jack, Raskin and Cantwell. There's been people who have said they prefer Cantwell, playing slightly higher. For me today, that midfield 3 going up against McGregor, O'Reilly and Turnbull, I think, if that's the way that they're going to play, for me, I'm happy with that.
Yes, I find Turnbull has absolutely no legs. It's the age-old thing that they used to do, which was just sign players that can shoot from distance, and it does pay off. I do wish we had a couple that could shoot from distance, to be fair, or at least try shots from distance. But I think winning the midfield battle in these games is so key. And although I think Cantwell is better when he's in that 10 role, when he's further forward, I think today I can at least see why the manager, if he's starting him in a 3, why he's doing it, because he leads the press very well, Cantwell. He won't give them a minute on the ball. Hopefully, we're not going to be letting McGregor sort of dictate play, which is how they usually try and play through the middle. Cantwell will be all over him, snapping into tackles, which is what I want to see from everyone, to be honest. It's got to be physical. We're not going to see, an Old Firm game where you go out, you play beautiful football, and you win 3-4-0. It's so rare you see that. It's usually a physical battle, and whoever comes out on top of that is usually the person, or usually the team that will go on and win. Sorry. So I can completely understand Cantwell being in there. Give us physicality. Give us, desire and speed, because he won't let anyone else sort of. He'll pick up slack, but he won't let anyone slack for too long. You can see him driving people forward as well. Him and Raskin are a pretty good partnership anyway. They're obviously really good off the pitch and on it. So I think he should elevate Raskin a little bit as well from his sort of little dip in form. He's a good enough player to come through that. And yeah, I think it's a really good choice. I would like to see him in the 10 a lot more, but I think today's game especially it's almost a perfect role for him.
Completely forgot I was on mute. There you go. Big Dave has put in a super chat as well, but I'm just going to leave that now, Big Dave, just until we come. I know you have kind of discussed Dessers and that while I was away, but we'll come back to that and I'll bring up Big Dave's super chat. Ian, I put a post out on X or Twitter or whatever you call it regarding Nico Raskin, and I think a lot of people have took my post the wrong way. What I said was he hasn't had the best start to the season. We all know the potential that this boy has, and that if he's on top form, he can run the midfield today, which is obviously what we all want to see. I don't think I was being too out of order or too confrontational. Was it confrontational? I can't think of the word. Right, it's early on a Sunday, right? But he hasn't had the best start to the season, and by that I don't mean that he hasn't been a 10 out of 10 every game. His passing's been off, and there's a lot of people saying that he's not been played in the right position, which I can take on board and accept. But just the simple stuff, it doesn't seem to be coming off for him. So I think today, like I said last night, I think it's a massive game for everybody, but it's a massive game for him, because if he's on form in the centre of that park, we win the midfield battle, and therefore there's a 90% chance that we win the game.
Definitely. I mean, that midfield you spoke about the midfield just then. I'm quite confident that our midfield can beat their midfield if that's their midfield 3. On Raskin, no, he's not had the best start to the season. The last few just dropped my mic. The last few games, it seems to me like he's trying to rush his passes, and he's trying to push things a bit too quickly. And I don't think it's just him. I think it's throughout the team. I think that we just need to sort of calm down, take a little second if we can. Probably today is not the day for that. To just pick where we're going to play the pass and not just play it blindly. He is a lot better. We know that because we saw it in the last sort of 6 months of last season. That's why we all want him to do as well as we know he can do. Maybe today, like other areas of the field, that today's the day he does that. He switches it back on, and him and Cantwell and Jack give us the masterclass we all hope and know that they can give us. I think he's got potential in him to be absolutely huge, and I think you can see it in the way he does play the game. The last 6 months of last season, I think most of us agreed that we need, like Cantwell, we need to be happy with the way he's playing, but don't get used to it because he won't be here for long. So he has that potential. I think our midfield can dominate that game today. I'm so hoping they do. Again, it's another one of those when the hard time comes and they need to put in that challenge, do it. Don't think, no, I'm not going to do that. I might get booked. Just do it. If you get booked, you get booked, but then play sensibly. But until that point, we need to dominate them. We need to show them that we're there in a game. Don't stand off them. Just at them all the time.
The amount of dad jokes coming in are unbelievable, by the way.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I apologize to everybody in the comments for seeing these extremely, extremely poor dad jokes. Not the way I expected the build up to go. But however, it's something a little bit different. Stu, Jack and Raskin, and please have your say on Raskin as well. Do you see Jack being the sitter and Raskin playing slightly further forward, or do you see Michael Beale going with a 2 at the base of the midfield?
Oh, I think it would be a 2-point anchor, if that's even a thing. I can see them. Both of them can drive forward. I prefer when Raskin does it, but both of them are capable of doing it. So I can see them. My fear is that we go a little bit too defensive today, which I don't think we need to do, because I think we can absolutely get at their defense. But if you set it up with, they can cover each other, Raskin can push on when he needs and drive forward, because he does that very well. Suter can obviously drive out of defense, so having 2 players that can sit in while he goes like that is handy. That's what I'm hoping for. If we're sitting in there like the 2 defensive mids like we used to back in the day, then I'm not really for that. If it gets us a win, I don't care. But I just think this team are there to be got at. I think it's the right midfield 3. I think Jack was unfortunate to miss out for Lundstram in Europe. Obviously, you never know the issue. Jack might have had a little something. It might have just been saving him for this game. But I think, although I think this is probably Jack's last season as a starter throughout the season, I think he's still going to be key for us, because every time I think he's done, he'll play for us and he'll prove me wrong, and he'll show just how good of a player he is. And it's a bit like a Roof situation, where I think if we'd had Jack fit for a lot longer, he would have been such a key mainstay in this team, which he's already been, to be fair to him. So I think today, like a sort of 2-point anchor thing, where one can sort of drive forward and join into the attacks and play in the midfield, and the other recover, and vice versa. But the main thing for them, I think, is going to be all 3 of them really, especially in the middle of the park, is going to be disrupting the flow of Celtic's midfield, because they'll look to control the ball. One thing we've got to stop today, which we didn't do well enough against PSV, is we've got to stop giving people space on the edge of the box and in the box, to be fair. But people like McGregor and Turnbull and O'Reilly, all 3 of them can have a dig. So you cannot give these guys time on the edge of the box. So hopefully that's the plan today, is that Jack and Raskin and Cantwell stepping into tackles, everything, that we're going to really disrupt any sort of flow they've got going forward, because it's not just about what you do. You still got to stop the other team to a degree, but the rest is obviously then how we hurt them, which I think is going to be purely on how poor their defence is.
Michael Beale has spoke to Rangers TV. I will play that in just 2 seconds. Big thank you to Mel, $4.99 super chat. Come on, Rangers. Rangers loyalist with a £2 super chat. Money famous. Rip this lot a new one. Let's certainly hope that they do that. We're going to come to Big Dave's comment in a second, but after we go to Cantwell. But just before we do that, we are going to hear from Michael Beale, who spoke to Rangers TV. It's a very short interview, it has to be said. But here's what the manager said to Rangers TV before today's Old Firm derby.
Michael, it's the first Old Firm game of the season. What have been the key messages from you to your squad this afternoon?
Well, it's a big opportunity, and for big opportunities, you need big performances. And we know going into this first international break, we've worked hard over the summer in terms of recruitment, in terms of building this team. Everyone's thoughts and efforts and energy has gone into it. If we can go into this international break with a win in this fixture, then we know how much it will mean, not only to the squad, but more importantly to everyone that follows our club.
3 changes to the starting lineup this afternoon. Can you just talk us through those?
Yeah, Ryan had a rest in midweek. With this is a big opportunity for him to come back in and play in midfield with Nico and Todd. Kamar comes back in, and his experience along with Ryan's in this fixture, I think, will be really beneficial. And I thought Kamar did very well last week. Him and Cyril and Rabbi with Todd, I think we've got a potent front 4 with certainly enough firepower on the bench to come and add to the game later on.
How important is the start from your squad this afternoon, given the fast-paced nature of the game and the home crowd here?
Yeah, listen, we've got to give our crowd something to get behind from the start. And the last time we played against Celtic, we started fast. It's important that we get our the emotions right and we play the game to the maximum of our capabilities, both in and out of possession. I think it's clear that they've got good players, but so have we. So can we negate their players and make sure that our forward players, this game is about them today? And a strong defensive performance, I think, sets that up well.
So, yeah, I mean, basically it was a pretty obvious interview there, Ian. Not really much you can take from it. Only a minute long, but that's the manager's thoughts.
Again, I don't think anything too surprising. I think he starts his interviews with exactly the same sentence. As much as it is the players today, I think the crowd have got a massive part to play again. I think if today had been any other day against any other team, I think you'd get quite a toxic atmosphere at Ibrox after the midweek. But because it's Celtic, I think they'll play a massive part. Nothing there he said in that minute is wrong. Need to get amongst them. Good, strong defensive display, builds from that, and start fast. Don't sit back. Don't let them get into their style of play. That's the worst thing you can do. Don't show them a level of respect, but don't over-respect them. And the first chance you get, put one of them into Rosette.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much more on that, but yeah, I absolutely agree. Stu, Todd Cantwell. We talked about Raskin and the potential and the ability he has. We've talked about that midfield with Jack in there, and you always feel a bit safer with Jack. I think it's fair to say. But the game changer, and we'll come to Roof in a minute, but Todd Cantwell is the game changer, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Like I said, we touched on him earlier about what he's going to give that when he's in the midfield three. He's obviously going to give it a lot of energy. He's going to lead the press, and like I said before, he'll be the one snapping into tackles. But the manager mentioned there that going forward, it's going to be almost a front four. So it does seem like Cantwell's going to have license to then push into that 10 role, which we know he's so key in. He obviously scored the opener towards the end of the last season when we beat him. So he's got goals in his locker. He's a player that has absolutely everything. Sometimes I think the one downfall of Cantwell is he tries a bit too much sometimes in terms of, he's either trying to make too much happen on his own or he's I love the fact he leads the press, and it's maybe not his fault, but I don't like when he takes on the press and no one goes with him, because that actually opens up the rest of the team. If a player presses, you have to press as a team, otherwise it's completely inefficient. So that he has deficiencies in his game, of course, like most players do, but it's the other side of his game is so massive for us, and he can hurt you going forward. Like he chipped in with so many goals. He's aggressive. He can help all over the pitch. And one thing I've said this before in the pod, but one thing I never really even knew about Cantwell, and I watched a bit of him at Norwich, I just never knew the engine he had on him. He just doesn't stop. All game he's steaming all over the pitch, trying to win every ball, and he's a player that I really hope that doesn't sort of get beat out of him almost, because players can be forced to play a certain way, but I think that's a real key component of his game, that he doesn't stop. He's got the energy to attack and carry the ball and be part of intricate passing moves, but he's also then got the energy to steam over and cover the right back that's pushed on and fly into a challenge. So especially in these games, that high energy, high octane games is so important. Absolutely love Cantwell. He's a player that I think we talk about Dessers and people maybe not having a lot of faith in him from what they've seen. I think Cantwell's one of those guys that he's earned that faith. He's one of the few that has earned the bad game faith, if you get me, where he can have a bad game, but people sort of just write it off straight away because they know how good he is. And I've always said, if you could give me, obviously outside the goalkeeper, you give me 10 more Cantwell, or 9 more Cantwells, including him on the pitch, I'd absolutely snap your hand off, because he leads the team as it should be led, in my opinion. And I keep looking at the time and like seeing it, like just it seems to be going backwards at the moment. But I'm just excited to get out there now. I don't want to talk too many people. I want to be positive, right? I don't want to talk too many people up too bad and then jinx him, and then he has a terrible game, and I've been taught like absolutely like going too over the top about him. So I'll just say he's quality, and he's going to score the winner for us today. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Ian, people do say that the big players show up in the big games. The big players perform in the big games, and it would not surprise. We always talk about before Old Firms that it's that first challenge, it's that first slide tackle, it's that first send them up in the air that gets your team going and can sometimes motivate you to go on and win, as strange as that may seem. And it would not surprise me if the first flying challenge that we see is from Cantwell.
Yeah, you go back. Look at some. I mean, I think that's what started me off this morning. Because I said I woke up nice and calm, and I think that's what set me off when like Stu put some YouTube videos on, and it was Halliday taking out Patrick Robertson, making him do a 360 in the air. Flanagan taking out Rogic. with a perfectly timed tackle, took the ball and everything. It's great, unusual for Flano. Then things like that. That's the sort of stuff that does get you up. And it happened in the PSV game at Ibrox as well. If you think Jack on Dest in the corner, the Copeland corner, he did well to shepherd the ball out, and then a little bit of a rammy after, and it got the crowd up, and it just seemed to spark the atmosphere off into a different stratosphere than it already was in. So something like that, I love it. I mean, I'm all for hard tackling. I mean, one of my favourite players back in the day for that was Ian Ferguson. Just him and Peter Grant. It was just like, which one's going to end up in a hospital first? It was superb. And for those of us who remember it, the Ian Ferguson and Di Canio at Celtic Park, when Di Canio's telling him he's going to break him, and Fergie just offered him out in the car park there and then on the pitch. That's the sort of thing I want to see. I want to see our players hard and flying into the occasional tackle. Not every single one. We don't want all 11 booked inside the first 5 minutes, because we might be on a hide into nothing. But yeah, I think, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Cantwell was the first one to do it. He's shown that fight in most games. Whether or not you agree he should have been sent off against PSV is another matter. But I mean, that sort of thing, that's what we're after, and he will be the one to do it, I think. I'd be very surprised if it was anyone else. So can't wait. I just want to see who he takes out now. Thanks.
The front three, Stu, brings up a lot of questions. Big supporter of the channel, been with us, I think, since day one. Big Dave. Afternoon troops, take it we spent 6 million on a sub striker. Then obviously, look, the front three of Matondo, Roof and Dessers. My head went there. So Danilo on the bench again. Can we justify having a £6 million striker on the bench for all the games that he has been?
It's tough, because the problem is I don't think Bill really knows his strongest team or even his strongest formation yet, which is a bit of a sad state of affairs in a way. 9 new players in the door, it is going to be hard to figure out. But the other side of the coin is that he sees him in training every day, and if he doesn't think Danilo fits what we're trying to do here, then he doesn't start. I think I can completely understand Danilo not playing this game. I thought he would have had a better run earlier on, but I don't think you bring him in from the cold, despite what anyone thinks of Dessers. I don't think you drop the player who's just played against PSV in both legs. It wouldn't make sense for me, because Danilo then comes in cold and you're almost throwing him to the walls, and it works for some people, but I just don't think it would work in this scenario. People still seem to forget that Roof himself is a £5-6 million player. We paid big money for Kemar Roof, and if we could guarantee Roof would be fit all the time, then one of Dessers or Danilo wouldn't be at the club. It's as simple as that. We just never know when we're going to get that from Roof, unfortunately. He's still our best striker, in my opinion. So as long as he's around, he'll start. And I think that's how it should be. But I think it depends entirely on how he wants to play. He seemed to start off with this sort of really front narrow three when we were using Danilo, Dessers, and then Seema or Lammers. And it hasn't worked because we can't create chances for them, because we haven't got the width to create chances for them. Danilo, whether he can play out as an inside forward, I know he has played there, and I know he's played there for us really briefly, but he didn't look at his best when he did. We put him through the middle when he scored, and then the next game he missed an open goal. So it's a balancing act at the moment. I just think, in terms of what Michael Bill's looking at, he's looking. I think Dessers is that more physical presence. Dessers does. People say he's slow, but he does press. Ian mentioned it earlier, he doesn't stop running. He does hound defenders when they got the ball. He forces them into sometimes playing that longer ball than they would like to. It doesn't because they can't. Yeah, and that's always the problem we're going to have. We know.
What was that noise there? What was?
I was just reading it really quickly in my head to not distract. So I don't want to sit here and go through word for word. But yeah, we know that. Throw me off my foot now. We know with Dessers that he's maybe not going to score you a hat trick today, but he could be the guy that creates the chance.
Stu, on that, and it's something that we have to bring up, and we are seriously running out of time, so I apologise for jumping in. He's against Scales today, Ian. It looks like a depleted Celtic defence, I think. Obviously, Carter Vickers isn't there. They've got Lager, Bielka, Johnson, and Greg Taylor. So he's up against, I think Scales is young, isn't he? He's a young boy. He's not, I don't think he's played a great deal of football. He might have, but I don't think so. So maybe Dessers is in there for the physicality side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it earlier on that he like Stu's mentioned it as well. He doesn't lose that many aerial battles, and with Carter Vickers not being in that Celtic back four and leaving Lager, Bielka, and Scales, who played pretty much all season for Aberdeen last year, but I think that the opportunity for Dess is just to dominate a back two completely all by himself. Because Lager, Bielka, I mean, I know Dess doesn't know what he's coming into, but
sorry. Is Scales 25? And he's played over 200 games? My apologies. Carry on, Ian. I got that one wrong.
Yeah, we tried to block Scales out after he tripped over in laces and put that one in the top corner last season. But yeah, I mean, but he's coming from a league where your top three in Holland absolutely hate each other. So he knows the sort of the atmosphere we might be stepping into a little bit more than those two. I mean, Scales, he's a major step down on Carter Vickers. So if we don't take advantage of that situation, then there's something wrong. If Bill's not telling them every chance you get Dessers up against them two in the air, on the floor, whatever, or get Matondo to run at them, scare them, then something is seriously, seriously lacking. We have got a great chance today. I mean, sometimes having depleted teams, they play out of this world and things happen. We've done it before. I can't see it yet.
There is
that.
I got them mixed up with Welsh. That's what I've done.
I mean, what would be ideal was if it was Scales and Welsh in a back four, but I don't think anyone's doing that in their wildest dreams. So yeah, today I think Dessers could have. I've said it. I think Dessers could have a massive game today. I think he might prove certain people wrong, and I'm really looking forward to him doing exactly that. Fingers crossed.
And of course, on the left-hand side, Stu, as channel member Chris with a super chat, Rabbi Maradona with the brace, Roof with another, Rangers 4-1, we are the people. That would be tremendous. But Matondo up against Johnson, who's been out for a long time with injury. And if he doesn't make the game, then Ralston comes on in his place. So, I mean, Roof has every opportunity here to have a massive effect on this game. Matondo, has a massive opportunity to have a massive effect on this game. And I couldn't have butchered that any more if I tried.
I think we'll see Matondo play both sides throughout the game, if I'm completely honest. The one thing I'd say about that Johnson, I don't really rate him much when he goes forward. But I think he is a pretty good defender from what I've seen of him.
He's a very good defender.
Yeah, he coped with, obviously Kent wasn't at his top level, but he coped with Kent pretty much every time we played them. So I think he's someone that can figure out very quickly, especially if it's a pacey player like Matondo. He can figure out the danger and like a good defender does, he cuts that out at the first opportunity. If you give Matondo room to open his legs, then you've already lost. So I don't think he would do that. That's why I think we'll probably have Matondo roaming. I think he'll play out on the left. He'll switch over to the right a couple of times. I think you'll see Cantwell and I think you'll see Roof both drift out to the left at times, just to give him something more to think about. Because if you give him a one-on-one with Matondo, I actually think he probably wins that battle. So I think that the key for us today is to not let him settle into anything and keep switching players out. And then when Matondo does go back out there, he's just had to work out Roof, or he's had to work out Cantwell, and then he's just got someone with pure pace running at him. And like you said, he's coming off the back of a long time out, so he probably doesn't really want someone electric running at you all game. It's a really good chance. I think his best opportunity when he is out on the left is when Johnston's pushed on, and like I said earlier, getting those diagonals whipped in behind him, or if not that, a Raskin or a Cantwell to slip balls in. And they've got to be better today because we missed 3 or 4 key passes to Matondo against PSV that he would have probably been in on goal every single time. So today it's got to be a lot better. And then apart from that, we've also got plenty on the bench to come on and give them food for thought as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we're not playing a team that's as good a quality as PSV. We're playing a team of lesser quality than PSV. So maybe 1 or 2 of those passes actually get through to Matondo, whereas with PSV it didn't quite work. Ange McD, Martin, you were on top form. Ange, I should have been left out the team altogether today. I'm on that poor of form. Right, now, see if it was the other way about, I think we would be sitting here going, if he comes off the bench, he might do some damage to them today. Just very, very quickly, Ian, Lewis Palmer, a man who we chased for I don't know how long, obviously signed for them. He's on the bench today. There's been so much chat about, that this is a signing that could come back to bite us in the arse. Let's just hope that's not the case.
Yeah, it's got very strong Chris. What was his name? Oh, I can't remember. The one that played down at Derby and was meant to be signing for us, then went to sign for them.
Chris Commons.
That's the one. That was the name they had in my head, but somewhere it went. That's not right. But yeah, see, I don't remember their names. Yeah, it's got very heavy vibes of that. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's more of a Glenn Louvens type of signing where we've made him think he's brilliant, and then they buy him and he's absolute dog. Is he ready to come into this today? Who knows? I think as mad as they can be over in Cyprus, I don't think he's going to have experienced anything quite like this experience today. Again, it's another one of those players. He's a flair player. So is he one of them? If he comes on, someone gives him a tap or a whack, is he going to carry on being that type of flair player? Or is he going to shrink? We're not going to know. Hopefully, it doesn't come back to bite us in the bum. Bill set himself up for it by saying that there was better out there. So that's one of those worrying comments that he tends to make. Yeah, their bench is strong, but ours is strong, and I'd rather concentrate on our bench. And I think we've got some quality on our bench for the first time in quite a long time. I think our bench is the strongest I've seen it for a very long time.
McCrory, Ridvan, Lundstrom, Lawrence, Lammers, Cifuentes, Sima, Davies, and Danilo is the Rangers bench today. We don't have time to go through it, Stu. So we're just going to jump straight into the main question, the only question. How do Rangers win this today? How do we go about it? How should we set up? And what areas should we target?
Win the midfield battle is key. It always is in these games. Don't make any fuck-ups at the back, please, Rangers. Just once in this game, don't do it. Everyone's got to be strong. Everyone's got to be switched on. This is the one game that domestically people join Rangers for, and then vice versa. And you can't switch off in these games because the big players don't do that. And I think Gaz just touched there. Stop making mistakes in defence. Don't make Butland bail us out. He can bail us out, but don't force him to bail us out with stupid errors. And then just be clinical. We're not clinical enough. We're still not clinical enough. But today, more than anything, we've got to be in it. And if we set up, I know the league was over when we beat them last time, but if we set up in a similar fashion and we press like we did in that game, and we feed off the crowd's energy, and there you go, Michelle's perfect comment, controlled aggression. That is exactly what we need today. And that's how we win this game. But yeah, bit strong defence, win the midfield battle, and be clinical.
Same question to you then, Ian. Are you any different from Stu? How do we go about this?
Well, the simple answer is score.
Should we be worried? Actually, I'll change the question. Should we be worried about any of their players? Do they have the capabilities in that team today to hurt us?
They've always got the capabilities to hurt us. It doesn't matter about form or anything. Derby's take care of themselves. They're a different monster altogether. So they have got the capabilities to hurt us. We know that Kyogo could find a space in a room full of that only fits 25 people, and there's 25 in there. He would find space in it. We know he can do that. So they have got the potential to hurt us. I don't know, is O'Reilly playing? I haven't really looked at their team, so I don't know if O'Reilly's playing or not.
Yes.
He is, yeah. So O'Reilly's got the potential to hurt us. I think O'Reilly has come on leaps and bounds for them. So he has the potential to hurt us. They have got danger all over the pitch, and it's down to us to stop them. It's down to us to limit their danger and cause them danger. So, yeah, they can hurt us, but we can eat them. Score more goals on them. I don't care if it's 8-6 or 8-7, as we were talking about last night in the group chat. I might need an ambulance outside just in case. But, I don't care what the score is today, as long as we score more goals on them and take the 3 points.
And the absolutely 100% most pointless part of this build-up, Stu, prediction. And you're on mute. Oh, he's on mute. He's on mute. I was just
saying a lot of profanity, so I had to stay on mute.
The
So I
whole
didn't say it on there.
podcast you never done it once.
I'm gonna go. I'm not. I don't even like saying this because it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna go 2-1 Rangers. So it's gonna be heart and mouth stuff at times, and I am going to go with Kemar Ruth as my first goal scorer.
Ian, if you don't say first goal scorer to have penalty, I'll be extremely disappointed. But Ian, what's your prediction? He needs to come off mute to give us his prediction. It's unbelievable. There we go. Oh, he's come off mute and then put himself back on mute. Ian's having a mare. What's going on, Ian? Right, well, Ian, just put up your fingers for your prediction.
The sun's gone out. There's solar power.
Well, no, one thing down here is it's always sunny. It's the Norwich Wi-Fi is coming back at me.
It's always sunny in Norwich, by the way. Could be similar to Philadelphia. But anyway, give me your prediction.
I am gonna go. I'm gonna go 2-1. There will be a Tav penalty, but it's not going to be the first goal. It's going to be a Dessa's header. There we go.
3-0 Rangers, Tavernier hat trick. Boom! I said it. Get your money on it. It's definitely going to happen. That's what I'm going with.
You had to finish on a dad joke as well.
Yeah. I've said it. 3-0 Rangers, Tav hat trick. I wonder what the odds are for that, by the way. Anyways, listen, folks, 5 minutes to go. Go and get yourself a beer, go and get yourself a coffee, get in front of the telly, get back inside the pub, wherever you're watching this from. Go and watch the game. We'll be back shortly after full time, regardless of what the result is, for full match reaction. Stu's got a big smile on his face there because he's not on it. Lucky him. But yeah, we'll be back straight after full time, full match reaction. Thank you to everybody who's put in a super chat. Thank you to every single person in the comments, and thank you to every single person who's watched as well. Our views for August, I think, were among the highest that we've ever had, albeit a few poor performances in there, but people are watching, which keeps this podcast going. So thank you very much, everybody. Go and enjoy the game. I hope your team wins, and we'll see you 5 or 10 minutes after full time. Cheery bye.